Hey, what's good, guys? It's Wes. Are you ready to make the internet angry today? Because I am. I sure am. So in 2020, I made a video that compared and contrasted a variety of different digital art programs. Now, that was 4 years ago. A lot changes in 4 years. The whole landscape is different. But instead of, just going into each one and painting a little bit and talking about it and having almost a 2-hour video, I thought, why not YouTube this one up? Why not make a ranked tier list that's all the rage with all the kids these days, as I show my age and say kids these days. But let's do that. I think we have a huge variety of programs to take a look at, and I'm going to be ranking them on a tier list from S tier being the absolute best pinnacle, you got to get it, down to the D list, which you don't, is do not buy, do not use. There are better alternatives. So we're going to hop in. We're going to take a look at a huge amount of painting softwares. A few of them will even be mobile art software. So I'm excited to get into this, and we'll, after the intro, we'll talk a little bit more about the criteria, what this tier list actually means, and then we will we'll start ranking some stuff. So yeah, let's go make the internet angry. So yes, here is a list of all of the programs we're going to be taking a look at today. Now, I know not every single digital art program is on here, but these are the ones that I have enough experience with that I feel somewhat comfortable about putting them on a ranking list. So let's talk about the ranking list real quick. All of these lists, no matter what you're watching them for, whether it's music or art or programs or whatever, it's all subjective anyway. So you're probably going to have different opinions. That's a-okay. Whatever you're using, if it works for you, if you're comfortable with it, if it's giving you the results that you want, don't change it. Don't worry about what some bald guy says on YouTube. And, if you don't know my background, I'm a professional artist and illustrator, and I have been for, ironically, 4 years now. My first video came out in 2020. That's when I really started going pro, was actually December in 2019 for Warhammer. And I've done Star Wars, I've done League of Legends, I've done Imagine FX Magazine. There's a big list, book covers and inserts and all sorts of collector's items and Mad Max and WB and Universal, just a bunch of stuff, right? So I have a lot of experience with a lot of these different programs, and I wanted to make a tier list based on what my personal usage is, what my overall vibe, if you will, is with these programs. Now, like I said, they might be a little bit different, but depending on what your experience with these are. So I am going to be talking about things like Procreate, Infinite Painter, ArtStudio Pro, which are mobile-based primarily. I don't have as much experience there, but I have enough to be able to kind of rank them. Of course, if I've missed any, please let me know in the comments. But really, I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves about, one, this tier list, but also if you wanted to make your own, where would you put each thing? What is your experience with it? And before we get into this, please note, this is the general overview tier list. So this is just my vibe. Is it, hey, do I like using it? Is it easy to use? Do the brushes work? Is the interface good? Like, it's kind of taking everything as a complete package in my day-to-day workflow, whether it's for personal art or for client work. Now, I will say, if this tier list had a different kind of MO, if there was a different goal for this tier list, such as, okay, what is the best for digital art beginners? This list would look completely different. Now, let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. I don't mind doing tier lists. I really don't. That sweet, sweet YouTube algorithm money. No, don't ever do YouTube for money. It's not worth it. But this is just an interesting way to do it. It's fast. It's more digestible. It's easier to kind of look at the finished product instead of having a 2-hour long thing. So without further ado, just know what you use is good. If you get good results with it, fantastic. Tell us about it. Be a preacher for that software. You're going to see what my tier list is. I would love to know what yours is. But without further ado, let's hop on in. Let's make everyone angry. If we're all angry, it means the list was great, right? That's how things work. But I'm going to come over onto the next monitor and we will get going. So here we are. Here it is, the beautiful tier maker. Tiermaker.com is pretty cool. You can make your own tiers. You can do drag and drop stuff. So I have the full list of programs here in a somewhat alphabetical order. There's stuff like, Corel Painter is under C. It's known as Painter, but it's Corel Painter because we also have like Paintstorm Studio, Tool Sai, things like that. So I wanted to just differentiate it enough. That way we can kind of keep track of what we're doing. And we're going to go in alphabetical order. Now, the way I envision this tier list, S is like must have, everyone should own it. It's fantastic. You're not going to go wrong ever. A, it's very, very good. There might be small smidgens of things that I would personally tweak, but you're still going to be in a really, really great spot to make really good art. You're not going to fight with the program. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be an easy to use thing. It just might be missing a few features or maybe not feel as comfortable as using something else. B list is just going to be solid. It's solid stuff. Really, there's no bad programs on this list. Well, I think 2 of them are bad, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so B is going to be awesome, right? I mean, you're going to have a good time using it. It's structured well, stuff's fairly easy to find, but either responsiveness isn't quite there, or maybe, yeah, the UI might be a little tricky to get around or something like that. C, it can still be good, but I mean, they say C's get degrees, right? So that you pass, you definitely pass, but there's probably things that could make the program better, easier to use, better workflow. Just, it could be getting in its own way, and we'll kind of talk about that. And then D list, do not use. I mean, you can, if you use it already, great. Some of these are, I have 2 already in my mind that I know is going to make the D list, but we'll talk about why. And then I'm trying to think if I want to be an edgy guy and put a really popular one at D for a certain reason, but we'll see whenever we get there. We'll see how we're feeling. But let's get into it. So yeah, we're going to go in alphabetical order. I'm going to drag and drop these bad boys. We're going to talk about them. And then even while we're making it, we can start maneuvering stuff around, right? So yes, so we're going to start with Affinity Photo. Now my gut instinct, just right off the bat, my gut instinct says this one's going to be a B. Now, right now, it's a perfectly fine Photoshop replacement. We're going to talk about Photoshop and some problems I might have with it and things like that, maybe business decisions that I don't like. But the functionality and the usage of Affinity Photo is fine. The layout is the same. They name the selection tools are the same. The keyboard shortcuts, from my experience, are pretty close to what Photoshop is. If you need a Photoshop replacement, full stop, you want Photoshop but not Photoshop, get Affinity Photo. The brushes work good, not great. Importing Photoshop brushes isn't quite there yet. You can do it, but the process of using them and then tweaking them and stuff, it leaves a little to be desired. But they've been recently bought by Canva, and we'll see what that means. Are they going to get a lot more resources? Is it going to become a subscription model? I don't know. So Affinity Photo is a solid B. I do use it. I still have Photoshop, an older version of Photoshop on my machine, which I usually open more. But Affinity Photo is good, especially if you haven't used it. If you want to have a Photoshop clone that you just buy once and own forever, Affinity Photo is your jam. So yeah, solid B from Affinity Photo. Let's do ArtRage next. So ArtRage, I'm going to put it in A tier. Now, depending on the day, I could put it at S tier because I really like using ArtRage. I really like it, especially now ArtRage Vitae. You can use it on mobile. I know it's a little bit more limited on mobile, but you can still use it. It still works pretty well. It still has a nice, rich kind of traditional brush engine that you can use. But it leaves a little bit wanting as far as like the editing side of things. So like using lassos and selection tools and layer blending modes and stuff like that. It's a little less intuitive when it comes to that. But if you just want something for painting, you just want to open a thing, pick like an oil paintbrush or a palette knife and just go to town, it's hard to beat ArtRage. I love it. I literally use ArtRage probably 3 to 4 times a week. Even if I just open up something that I'm working on with like Clip Studio or Photoshop, and I just need some certain brush strokes or like impasto or texture or whatever, that I'll open up ArtRage for 10 minutes, do a little, knife palette stuff, and then export it back out and continue working. There's just a certain feel about ArtRage that I really enjoy, but it's not quite there on all fronts. So that's why I'm going to put it at an A for ArtRage, I guess, right? So let's go over to ArtStudio Pro. Now this is the mobile version. I have a Samsung Galaxy S10, which I know is like super old now, but it's the one with the pen. I can use it on my mobile. I also have an iPad, which I can use it on as well. And overall, I really like using it. The brush engine is fantastic. It really is. A lot of people told me, they saw my Infinite Painter video and my Procreate videos, and they told me the ArtStudio Pro has the best brushes. Out of the box, I probably agree. I agree with that. But, well, we'll talk about that when we get to Procreate and Infinite Painter. There's certain things that those programs do that I might put up a little bit higher than ArtStudio Pro. But I'm gonna put it at a B. Okay, it's a solid B though. Like, you're not gonna have a bad time with it. It's just if you're used to something a little different on mobile, ArtStudio might be a little bit harder to use. I will say some of the built-in brushes though are like mwah. They are perfect. The graphites are really good. And even like the smudgy kind of oily wet into wet blending, it looks fantastic in ArtStudio. Yeah, just all around solid choice. Solid choice. Clip Studio Paint. So Clip Studio Paint has been around for a long time. It used to be called Manga Studio way back in the day. I really show my age now. And Clip Studio, in my opinion, has gotten better and better with each release. Now, I don't really like the fact that they went towards a more subscription model. Like, I know on mobile, it's pure subscription. You have to subscribe to it. I'm not a big fan of that because, in my opinion, we have enough bills as it is. I mean, especially if you're a parent with kids or you're single and you're, working 40, 50 hours a week and you got bills, telephone bills, all them bills. Another bill is not really what we need. But that being said, Clip Studio is S tier for me. Now, not the mobile version. I don't use the mobile version at all. But on desktop, Clip Studio is a monster of a program. It is made specifically with illustration and painting in mind. And you have things built in like the 3D models, kind of the paper dolls as they were. You can manipulate, you can change lighting, you can change perspectives. You can import that perspective grid onto your background to lock in your brush strokes depending on the 3D that you made. It's sick. Stuff like that is unbelievable. It's super helpful. It takes a lot of the drudgery out of making kind of the more monotonous art. Like if you're having to do a bunch of 1 or 2 point perspective, yeah, you can do it freehand. But if you have some rulers that help you guide it, great. Now, a lot of these programs have that. They have perspective rulers and things like that. But with Clip Studio, the fact that you can bring in 3D models that are already like in the program, you can get people and pose them and weapons and all that. You can download stuff off the shop, import it in directly without even closing the program. Really fast, really intuitive, and it is a game changer. It really is, especially if you want to get used to doing poses, a more dynamic framework. It's the best, man. Clip it's a mean program. I cannot think of anything it can't do. Even traditional feeling, really heavy impasto, thick brush strokes, you can do that now. I know my brush packs, you can import them in. Also, if you're a big fan of like Greg Rutkowski or Ray Frienden or Derek Zabrocki, or any of these people that have kind of the more thick, kind of loose brushwork, bring in those brushes, man. You're going to be surprised. They have that dual blend mode now. They have all sorts of really cool stuff. And I would have put S tier on Clip Studio even back in like version 2. But version 3 is more responsive. It has more features. It's a winner, man. If you've ever been on the fence about Clip Studio, I say get it, because it is mind-blowingly good. The more you use it, the more you're going to want to use it. And I swear by it now. It's always going to be part of my repertoire. Okay. All right. Everyone, let's settle down. Let's put the knives away. All right. We're going to talk about Corel Painter. Now, if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, I have a very love relationship with Painter. I used Painter 2019 and I hated it. I thought it was dreadful. I used Painter way back in the day, like 2007, and it was fine and it was cool because that was the only thing on the market that could do traditional style art. But now there are better things that do traditional style art. There just are. And I know I'm going to get arguments in the comments, but I do want to bring up price. I know it's kind of a faux pas, but Corel Painter MSRP being $400 is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. But over 2022 and 2023, Corel started adding more stuff that made more sense. I think it was like 2022 that they added blending modes, which is kind of a default thing that you have in digital art since like 1996. And they just now added it, 30 years later. And for $400, you think they'd be ahead of the curve. But I digress. I used 2023. Got my brushes in there, did some dual brush stuff, did the stamp stuff. I can't remember what they call them, like stencils or dabs or, and then I started liking it. I started liking it quite a bit. And the way you can control the canvas lighting, the canvas settings, the way Impasto kind of brushes up against it. Corel Painter's pretty good. It's pretty good. It somehow pains me to say it. I don't know why. I guess I was so caught up in my ways to be a hater, but like it's come around for me. But the thing is a system hog. Corel Painter needs a like gaming PC to run pretty well. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a B. Okay. B, kind of veering towards the C because I'm still a little bitter about the price points. Now you can get humble bundles and like these bundle packs that they come out with where you can get it for like $30. That's a steal. That's a great. If you have Corel Painter for $30, move this up to an A. But as it is right now, it's kind of the low B, high C at the normal $400 price point. There's just stuff that does it easier and does it better, in my opinion, now. To be fair, if there was only one painting program you ever wanted to buy, just one, and have every type of painting, whether it's digital art or airbrushing or watercolor or, whatever, and you want to get in there and fine tune it and tweak knobs and figure out exactly how things feel and blah, blah, then probably Corel Painter is your number one. That's the one you should buy, because you can spend a lifetime learning Corel Painter and not get to everything. It's a huge program. So you might argue, hey, $400, it's worth it at that point, because if you buy one for life, you're good to go. Fair. Just know that I think there might be something a little easier and more budget friendly that you can use. Okay. So that's it. That's the Corel Painter thing. I like it. It's good. I don't normally go to use it. If I need thicker brushwork, I have like 3 other programs that do that, in my opinion, just as good, if not better. So yeah, we're talking low B, high C for Corel Painter. Solid. If it's what you're looking for, have at it, enjoy yourself. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I ain't your mama. So do your thing. Enjoy. All right. GIMP. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry. GIMP was never great. Okay. It was good back in 98, 97. It started the open source free alternative. Here's an image editing thing if you don't want to mess with Photoshop or Corel Painter for back in the day. So it's like, it's a godfather. GIMP is a godfather of digital image altering and image. So I got to pay it respects for that, but it ain't very good. It is what it is, man. It does image editing okay. It does everything kind of fine. It's not very enjoyable to paint with. It's not super, and this is just out of the box. I know you can probably mod it out and make it some big deluxe like Lamborghini, but if this other stuff, I can get it even at a small price point and it just works out of the box. Give me that rather than the weird open source thing that, you know, you need a ton of time and dedication to like program for. Like, no, get out of here. I want to paint. I don't want to worry about that other stuff. So GIMP, you had your time. I salute you for doing what you did, paving the way for other people, which we'll get to in just a second. Don't use it. If you're looking for digital art, there's better stuff that's also free, which we'll talk about. But yeah, sorry, delist, bye GIMP, bye. Infinite Painter. So once again, I used it on my Samsung device. I used it on my iPad. I dig Infinite Painter a lot, and I would actually put it above ArtStudio Pro. So I'm going to say A-list. It's up there with ArtRage for me. Infinite Painter's easy to use. The layout's good. I didn't really get confused by the UI or anything the same way I did with maybe a Procreate. The stuff worked well. It worked great with Apple Pencil. Works great with a Samsung stylus. Yeah, I could get in there and I could start painting. The layers made sense. The way I could just drag and drop stuff, like one layer on top of another, or like double tap it to change a blending mode, have a list come up. That was really intuitive, really good to use. And yeah, it's still probably my favorite to go to in a pinch on a mobile device, because I can also use it on my phone, which I cannot do on Procreate because I have a Samsung device. So yeah, I'm going to say Infinite Painter is a solid A-list. If you have a mobile device and you're into mobile art and you have not given it a shot, do yourself a favor, because I think you're really going to like what Infinite Painter has to offer you. Krita. So we talked about GIMP kind of paving the way. In my opinion, GIMP, walked so Krita could run. But not only does Krita run, Krita flies. Krita is S rank. Here's why. It is free to download. Okay. Now, I always say please donate to the Krita Foundation if you can. I know they only have a few full-time engineers left working on it, but the community has a fantastic community support. It's very tight-knit. Krita is outstanding, not just because it's free. If you gave me the price points of these other ones and gave me Krita for that, I would still be happy. The brushes work well. The brush editor works good. You can import brushes, but the brush engine just works differently than something like a Photoshop. So while you can bring in the brush strokes and kind of the actual like PNG file of the actual bristle brush, you're going to have to go in and modify it. But it's intuitive for a painter. GIMP was not. GIMP was not intuitive at all for anybody, in my opinion. But Krita makes sense if you're wanting to do painting. The sketch tools are incredible out of the box. In fact, I will argue that Krita's sketching pencils are the best digital art pencils, period. Out of any of these, Krita's got it on lock, man. Incredible thick brush engine stuff now. I think they did, I can't remember the name of the third party software they integrated in, but it's like a mixer brush engine to where it's the real color blending and stuff now. Krita's unbelievable. Don't think just because it doesn't cost anything to get that it's some cheap alternative. I'm here to tell you Krita is the real deal. It will always have a place on my hard drive. And I believed in it so much, I did write a book about it. And I still swear by it. You know what I mean? And Krita is one of those that I'm honored to be kind of, at least in somewhat of a part of, because of that book and part of the community and things like that. But man, Krita is so good, it brings artists to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Krita is so good, it makes the artist using it better. I'll put it that way, okay? Download it. Please, please, please. It is dope. It is awesome. All that you're out is your bandwidth and your time, but everything you need. I've made professional art. My Star Wars stuff was partly made in Krita. Then I would do ArtRage and then import it back and blah, blah, blah. Just had a blast. It handled every type of file I threw at it. It handled TGA files. It handles like vector stuff. It handles animation. It does great animation. I don't even animate, but some of the animation tools are fantastic. The timeline stuff, it's great, man. There's not a lot that Krita cannot do, right? So get it. Free. Unbelievable. And yeah, join the community too, because awesome people, awesome software, S tier all around, no doubt in my mind. Krita rocks. Now we go to MS Paint. Come on, man. Come on. MS Paint, come on. The only thing with MS Paint are people are memeing with it. Like, you get incredible artists. Look at what I made in MS Paint. And they did make it in MS Paint, and it's really impressive. That's fine. And here's the deal. If you're brand new and you just want to put like colors onto something, MS Paint is okay. They have like a weird kind of wet blend brush now. But the thing that skews this out of proportion, at least for me, is Krita is also free. If you're wanting to get into digital art at all, get Krita. Don't even waste your time with MS Paint. No. What? Like, it's like, I don't know. I was going to say something about Minesweeper, you know, the game where you click and the bombs and the numbers and the flags and stuff, but I liked Minesweeper. I don't think I've ever liked MS Paint, ever. Like, yeah, it's cool to see these talented artists do some stuff with it, but fundamentals are fundamentals. I guarantee you that painting will look way better in Krita than it did in MS Paint. I guarantee it. No question. But come on, it's the meme answer, right? I gotta be real with you. I'm not gonna S rank MS Paint. Get out of here. Anyway, okay. Paintstorm Studio. So preface this, I love Paintstorm Studio. It's actually one of my go-tos. It has a beautiful traditional brush engine that's way easier to use and get kind of what you need out of it than something like a Corel Painter or even like a Clip Studio or a Photoshop. I think Paintstorm has a fantastic brush engine out of the box. Oh man, the only thing is it doesn't really do a lot of the image editing stuff like your skews and all this stuff. It can do it. It's just less responsive. It kind of buckles under its own pressure. But the thing's only $19. Brand new. You get to keep it forever. They haven't updated it in a while. But like I'm going to give it a low A, high B, right? That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that feels right. Well, yeah. Okay, okay, yes. There you go. So this is actually in order now. You got Clip Studio, Krita, ArtRage, Paintstorm Studio, Infinite Painter, Affinity Photo, Art. Actually, move. Wait. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. I'm feeling. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. Okay. So as of right now, this is how the list is, and this is in order. So Clip Studio number 1. Okay. Cool. All right. So Paint Tool Sai. Paint Tool Sai. Okay, I talked about, GIMP being a godfather and all this stuff. Here's the thing. Paint Tool Sai is actually more of a godfather to something like Krita than GIMP is. And people still use Paint Tool Sai, and I think it was made by one person, which is a miracle. Like, that's unbelievable. And it's existed, I think it's like Systemax is the name of the developer. And it's one guy out of Japan. And he just wanted a paint program. And so he built it. And it still stands the test of time. It looks a little basic now. It actually looks kind of like an MS Paint. Weirdly. But it works. I mean, it still does the job. It gives you hard round, soft round brushes, some nice like charcoaly stuff, nice graphites. I mean, it has what you need. You get a 30-day free trial and then you can buy it. I can't remember what the price is. It's been a long time since I bought my copy. It's just the landscape has changed so much since then. But it's still good. It is still good. Paint Tool Sai is very good. I know I actually am friends with a few professional artists that still use that as their daily driver. They're one that they open up, they do a majority of the work in, then they'll take it into a Photoshop or whatever, do some tweaks and edits, and then call it a day. You know what I'm going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I know. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to put it as a low B. Not because it's bad, just because other stuff nowadays is better. Does that make sense? But I'm going to move Corel Painter down to the C. Yeah. Yeah. My gut tells me that feels okay. My gut tells me, Yeah, so we're good. Let's keep moving forward. We got 4 left. Let's see how this goes, okay? Photoshop. Photoshop is the standard in the industry right now. I've used Photoshop pretty much daily since I've been pro. But I went to graphic design school back in 2004, and I used it then. So, I mean, I literally have 20 years of experience with Photoshop. It is the standard for a reason. The compatibility is really good, of course, because it's like everything has to be compatible with Photoshop, because studios all around the world still use it. I make brushes for Photoshop. So part of literally my livelihood depends on Photoshop and things that can use Photoshop brushes. In using Photoshop, I know it like the back of my hand. Anything I need in Photoshop, I can do within like 3 clicks. I just got it figured out. But I could also probably do that if I dedicated that amount of time to some of these other programs as well. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if that's a benefit of Photoshop, or does it quote unquote like win by default because everybody uses Photoshop? You know what I mean? This is where it's a weird one. And now, because of all the dumb AI generative crap that they're doing, it leaves a different sensation in my mind. Yes, it's the standard. Yes, it makes beautiful work. Of course it does. It is the godfather, right? I mean, Photoshop was created, I think it was created at Industrial Light and Magic to help on Star Wars. And then, you got John Knoll, and then of course you get like Craig Mullins in there, and then digital art becomes a thing. So like the real godfather is Photoshop, right? And it's still kind of the bog standard. But I don't like the way it's going. I don't like this attitude that Adobe has, because, hey, if all your people are using AI to generate stuff, why do they need Photoshop? If your AI is so good, you don't need to edit it at all because it's perfect, and you hit a button and whoa, like they're eating their own tail. But does that affect the actual functionality of the program? Really? It's like between the art and the artist, that debate. Like, can you look at this person? They might not be the best person, but damn, their album was great. I guess it depends on where you fall on that side. So I am going to say that yes, Photoshop is a standard for a reason. It works. It's had 30 plus years of functionality and improvements, and it's the one to use. If you get hired by a studio, odds are very good you're going to be using Photoshop. I use Photoshop literally every single day. I am going to give it a B. It's middle of the road for me now. Yes, I use it. It's a necessary evil. I actually uninstalled the Creative Cloud stuff. I went back to my old physical edition of CS6 that I bought in college because I don't want to support what they're doing now. But it works. It's a good program. It is what it is, right? So yeah, I'm going to put it at the end of the B tier. I would rather use Tool Sai and Affinity Photo and ArtStudio Pro than Photoshop. Infinite Painter, Paintstorm Studio, ArtRage, Krita, and Clip Studio, I would absolutely use more than I would use Photoshop. Do you know what I mean? I know I said I use Photoshop every day, and I do, but it's maybe to use like one or two tweaks, maybe a color balance here or there, or maybe a match color for a matte painting. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that it can do, and it does it well. But less and less have I used Photoshop to like finish a complete painting. I'll go to Clip Studio in a heartbeat. So there we go. Photoshop at the B. We got 3 more left. Let's keep it cooking. Let's keep this going. Procreate. Now, Procreate's pretty fantastic. I like using Infinite Painter a little more, but I've gotten some new brushes for Procreate. I've actually set up my hotkeys or my gesture, because you can do like a radial menu that whenever you put down a certain amount of fingers, like 3 fingers, a radial menu pops up, and depending on what direction you swipe, you go to like, the eraser tool or whatever. You can make your own custom like hotkeys that way. And now that I've done that, I like using Procreate more and more, right? In fact, I might like it better than Infinite Painter and ArtStudio Pro. And this is hyperbole. This is a rumor right now, but Procreate is talking about making a desktop version. And if that's true, oh my God. Talk about a game changer. Talk about shaking up an industry. That would do it. Procreate is A tier. Oh man, is it above or below Infinite Painter? I'll keep it like this. Infinite Painter is just easier to open up and just use. But the more I'm using Procreate, the more comfortable I'm getting in it. So this could be just, once again, this is a subjective list. This could just be me being an old man not used to new things. Totally fine. Yeah. I'll say they're about tied, but I'll keep it like this, just out of principle. Infinite Painter is easier to open up and use as a painting program. Procreate, there's a small learning curve that you have to do in order to get all of your functionality going the way you probably expect it to. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Fantastic program, though. Unbelievably good. So we have Realistic Paint Studio. This is actually made by, I want to say, the Paintstorm Studio team. And it does what it says. It has some realistic paintbrushes. It has a great little brush engine that you can use. That's kind of all it does. In my experience, I will be doing a video on this by itself, probably in the next few months. But Realistic Paint Studio, out of all of these, literally out of all of these, feels the most like an app. It feels like an app to where you put a brush stroke down and, oh, look at that one. That looks like an oil brush. Oh, look at that one. That one looks like a watercolor brush. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like, it's good at what it does, but it does one thing. There's no real like skewing, editing, layer management. Like none of that stuff is there. It does this thing, which is kind of cool, where you can, you make a piece of art and then whenever you export it out, you can choose like what environment it's in. So this one looks like it's on an oil painting canvas and it has oil paints, like a photo of oil paints around. And this one's like in an art museum and this one's in a, you know what I mean? So it feels kind of like an app. It feels like a kind of a gimmick. The brush engine's good. Like I wish they took the brush engine of that, but put it inside of Paintstorm Studio. I think that would be a banger program. I already love Paintstorm Studio, but if they added the realistic, Paint Studio brushes and kind of the techniques and the knives and stuff, and the impasto, oh man, that would be sick. But I'd still pull it above GIMP and MS Paint. Oh, sorry. All right. Rebelle. Now, I have to be completely open and transparent with all of you. I am a featured Rebelle artist. I get Rebelle for free. I beta test it. My name is in the credits. Other stuff I can't quite talk about yet, but just know I am part of Rebelle, not like coding or anything. I don't, nothing like that. But like I am what's considered a power user and I'm considered part of the beta development team. Okay. So I'm going to try to be as transparent as possible. I'm going to try to be as fair and non-biased as possible because I know all of these programs have teams that are dedicated because of love and passion for what they do. All of them are, okay? I just happen to be part of the Rebelle one. I think Rebelle is Rebelle pound for pound is the best traditional painting software on the market right now. It may not be as dense as Corel Painter, and it may not be as easy to use for just like opening it up and getting exact looks that you want as like an ArtRage. I still think Rebelle needs a little bit of massaging from the user. So like whenever you would install Rebelle, it would probably do you good to spend an hour or so just messing around with stuff. Just clicking this and what brush is that? And ooh, what does this do? Just do your learning curve a little bit. But developing your own personal style can easily be achieved in Rebelle. Way easier than Corel Painter. And just as easy as ArtRage. And Rebelle has more features than ArtRage. So you have the flexibility and the ease of use of a Krita or an ArtRage with their like 75 to 80% of the depth of a Corel Painter. That's a pretty strong equation. I think there's not a lot that Rebelle can't do, right? I love using it. I really do. As we develop it and like, okay, how does this feel on the stylus and all these different components and stuff? I think it feels great. I think the watercolor engine is the best on the planet. There is nothing that even comes close because you can control the density of the water, the flow of it. You can pause time. You can blow dry it while it's dripping. It's ridiculous. The stuff that you can do on that. I don't even use the watercolors all that much, but I know it's there. And if I need it, bang on, man, they're going to deliver like through and through. But like the acrylic and oils, the fact that it's easy to go between like blending modes, like you can do fully opaque paint, but then if you need it to be more of a mixer brush or a palette knife blender or something, you can just activate one button click and it's the same exact brush. It just works differently depending on what you tell it to do. It's intuitive. Like once you get in the flow of it and once you find out your way of using Rebelle, it's hard to beat. It really is. I'm going to put it at the top of A tier. Some of the stuff, like, and I know this isn't what this tier list is for, but if you're just starting out with art, digital art, and you want something that feels more traditional, Rebelle is your go-to. 100%. Rebelle is the one I would recommend for everyone. I don't think it is as fully encompassing as something like Clip Studio or Krita. What Rebelle does, it does extraordinarily well, and it's far from a one-trick pony. But if I need quote unquote digital art, like smoother airbrushing and that nice wet kind of flow opacity, hard and soft round brushes, I would rather go with a Krita or a Clip Studio. For my workflow and the way I do art for tabletop role-playing games, for card games, for commercials, for matte painting, for book covers, I need kind of everything. So once again, like with ArtRage, how I will import something from like Clip Studio or Photoshop and then work on it in ArtRage, I do exactly the same thing in Rebelle. In fact, with every artwork that I go and I use to make prints of, I go and I put it through Rebelle first because it does the nanopixel export, which is an AI upscaler. It's incredible. You can get like 8 times the size of your original art with no loss in quality, which is nuts to me. I still don't know how they do it. And then you also have the pigment blending mode. So instead of like normal or overlay or hard light or vivid light or darken, there's actually a button you click for pigment blending mode or layer blending. And it works just like traditional paint. So the colors mix differently. It's a really cool feature as part of the Pro version. And I use it all the time. I love it. But I'm going to keep it in an A tier because I do believe that there are some things it doesn't do as well, such as the hard round brushes, more of the tight render pixel perfect stuff. But that's not a knock against Rebelle. It's not made for that. But for what it is made for, the traditional art, the thick impasto, the controlling of a canvas, the replication of a traditional way of working in a digital form, there is no better software than Rebelle. It just is what it is. And I know you can take me at my word or whatever. I try to keep it as fair as possible. I just think it is the best. Now, I will jump from time to time between Rebelle and ArtRage. I just like the way both of their brush engines work. So the way I solve problems is slightly different. But, it is what it is. But yeah, so let's go in order. Let's do this. Let's talk about this. So number 1, we have Clip Studio Paint as the winner. If you were to buy one digital software, it would be Clip Studio, in my opinion. Number 2 is Krita. You don't even have to buy Krita. You should have Krita right now. If you do not have Krita, go search Krita, Krita, Krita.org, I believe. Get Krita. It works on Mac. It works on Linux. and it works on Windows. All right. They had mobile versions, but I don't know what's up with that because the team's small now. I don't know if they officially support it. Anyway, go get Krita. Go support Krita. Be part of the community. It's an unbelievable piece of software. Even if you had to pay money for it, I would still put it at S tier. It's great. A tier. So number 3, we got Rebelle. Love it, love it, love it. ArtRage, love it. Number 4 is ArtRage. Number 5, Paintstorm Studio. You can see I really like the kind of wet brush traditional feeling stuff. After that, you got Infinite Painter. So the top tier, in my opinion, of the mobile art programs. Then you have Procreate, of course. It's the Titan. It's the granddaddy of mobile art. It is the market leader by a pretty substantial margin. You're not going to go wrong. So, of course, it deserves A tier, in my opinion. Then your B tiers, you're solid, you're steady as she goes. Just great programs. You're going to find a lot to like here. If the other ones aren't quite fitting what you need, try some of these B tier ones. You got ArtStudio Pro. You got Affinity Photo for a great Photoshop clone. You got Tool Sai for some old school love. Then you got Photoshop. It is what it is. It's there. It's not going away. Whether you think that's good or bad, it just depends. But I will say middle of the road Photoshop is kind of, that's your tent pole right there, right? After that, it's going to be Corel Painter. Still good. It's getting better every time. And I just think it's a little more nuanced. It's a little more deep dive than what I would just recommend wholeheartedly. And then Realistic Paint Studio is fine. It makes some cool stuff, but I don't really use it all that much. And then GIMP and MS Paint, I don't use at all. Sorry. I had to use GIMP to make the Krita book, weirdly enough. That's a whole other story. But I had to use GIMP to do some photo editing sides of things because of how their team in India used it. So yeah, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend GIMP at all, or MS Paint. But that's it, man. Let me hop over. Yeah, let me hop over here. We'll do the outro. Let's talk about it. So mission accomplished. It's been 4 years, right? But now we're back to make the internet mad at us again. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love doing this. Once again, whatever program you're using, if you're having good luck with it, keep using it. Please, please, please. Don't let any pro or any amateur or anybody tell you otherwise. Whatever you're using, if it's working for you, continue to use it. And yeah, make cool art. Just be yourself. And maybe you saw something on this list that you haven't tried before. Now you can kind of get a better sense of where it might fit on your radar. So yeah, highly recommend. Really, a majority of these, if you haven't tried them already, please do. You can successfully skip GIMP and MS Paint. But other than that, I think, sky's the limit. Whatever you create with these is fantastic. But let me know in the comments if you want to see another tier list like this. Do you want to see one where it's just about art beginners? If you're just getting into digital art, what programs should you be approaching? Which one should you really be investing in? Your time and energy. Let me know that. If you want to know what is the best traditional artwork one, and we'll really get into the nitty gritty, and then we only have like 5 to choose from or something, and there has to be a definitive ranked list. Let me know that as well. So a lot of fun. I love kind of comparing and contrasting. It's almost a side hobby that's attached to my real job. You know what I mean? It's just always fun to see what new stuff is coming out, kind of keeping up with it all, trying to process it in my mind about what's the one I use the most, what is strong here, what might be weak here. It's a lot of fun to keep up with. But I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to hear what your tier list is. Please leave it in the comments below, and we will fight amongst ourselves. As I say, everybody can have an opinion, and it's okay to be wrong. So yeah, we successfully made everybody mad. All right, that's my time. We'll catch you guys next time. Go make cool art. We'll see you soon.